fog hangs thickly around them, obscuring their vision. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoes through the air, causing them to leap up. Dylan, in a hoarse voice, "Hold on tight, guys. We're getting out of here." Dylan starts the car and revs the engine, determined to escape the horrors lurking in the mist. The car lurches forward, tires spinning on the wet ground as it gains traction. They speed down the desolate road, the fog swirling around them. The car barrels down the highway, the landscape passing in a blur. David's grip tightens on the steering wheel as he navigates through the treacherous conditions. The wipers swipe furiously, clearing the fog from the windshield, but as it relentlessly creeps back. "Look," says Chelsea. "Dylan, look." Chelsea, looking out the window. "Dylan, look." Dylan's eyes follow Amanda's gaze to a group of creatures emerging from the mist. They kind of resemble humanoid, but they had large wings and some of them were just vines. Twisted limbs, sinister features sending shivers down their spines. Dylan, gritting his teeth. "Hold on, stay low." Marsh-like creatures, driven mad by the fog, swarm the car. They claw at the windows, their nails screeching against the glass. Chelsea shields Bobby, her eyes wide with terror. Dylan swerves the car, desperately trying to shake the relentless attackers. He accelerates, but the creatures cling to the vehicle. Their malicious intent palpable. The car jolts as the creatures slam against it, rocking it from side. Chelsea, looking out the window, arcs as the creatures slam against it, rocking it from side to side. Dylan yelling, "Get off! Get off!" Dylan reaches into the back seat, grabbing a canister of gasoline he has stashed for emergencies. With determination, glare, he rolls down the window and hurls the canister at the creature, dousing them with fuel. Highway continuous. David grabs a lighter from the pocket and flicks it open. With a steady hand, he ignites the flame and tosses it towards the creatures. The fog ignites in a fiery explosion, engulfing the monsters in a blaze of destruction. The car speeds away, leaving behind burning creatures and the fading fog. Dylan, Chelsea, and Bobby breathe a relief, their faces smeared with soot and sweat. Voice filled with determination. Dylan's voice is filled with determination. "We're gonna make it. We're gonna survive this nightmare." They continue the journey, the road stretching out ahead as they head south to seek safety and hope in a world no longer shrouded in darkness. Fade out, fade into the grocery store parking lot. Dylan's wife, Lindsay, revs the engine of the motorcycle parked near the entrance of the grocery store. The sound of the engine echoes through the tense silence. She glances back at the menacing green monsters lurking just a few steps away. Determination fills her eyes as she prepares to make her escape. Highway entrance. Lindsay speeds onto the highway entrance, leaving a trail of destruction behind her as wooden pallets and debris fly in every direction. The green monsters desperately reach out, attempting to grab hold of her, but she skillfully maneuvers through the clutches. Lindsay's cell phone begins to ring, breaking this intense focus of the road ahead. Dylan's voice is filled with determination. The looking limb from one of the vines desperately reaches out, attempting to grab hold of her, but she skillfully maneuvers through their clutches. Lindsay's cell phone begins to ring, breaking the intense focus on the road ahead. She reaches into her top, searching for the device. She tries to put her thumb on the red button, but then she momentarily loses balance. The motorcycle wobbles. She struggles to gain control. Lindsay's motorcycle swerves dangerously, causing her to lose balance. With a loud crash, she tumbles off the bike and onto the pavement, rolling several times into the dry grass. The cell phone clatters to the ground, its ring unanswered. Lindsay lies on the ground, shaking her head, momentarily stunned, pieces of hay in her hair as the limbs from the vine-like creatures inch closer, sensing their opportunity. A couple of them were vining around the guardrail of the freeway. Time seems to slow down as she realized. Time seems to slow down as she realizes the danger. From out of sight, she hears Dylan's voice. Lindsay! Dylan's voice snaps her back to reality. She looks up to see Dylan, their son, and a few other survivors running towards her hastily. She tries to scramble to her feet, but one of the vine-like limbs was wrapped around her ankle and tugging her closer to a symmetrical center. A pod began to emerge from the center and appeared to be the bulb of a new rose, but much bigger, of course. The rose opened up. It reminded Lindsay of time-lapse photography. Inside, as the rose opened up to maturity, a bunch of smaller, vine-like limbs covered in thorns came out, grasping at her, twisted at angles, pulling her around her shoulders and knees into the center. Time seems to slow down. The thorns continue. Some of them snag in her blonde hair. Others seem to make a pattern across her jeans as the thorns penetrate the tough denim. She screams. All of a sudden, the Venus flytrap-like creature makes a noise. And all of a sudden, all the way to her knees, is sucked into the animal or plant or whatever it was. She didn't know what to think. All she knew was she was up to her knees. She quickly takes off her belt and tries to pull her jeans off, removing them. It makes another noise, and she's all the way to her waist, and the creature, it starts to suck her in quickly and quicker. She automatically starts to punch. Adrenaline kicking in, she punches the green leaves surrounding the rose bulb that encased her body. She pumps furiously. Right then, an axe drives down and chops one of the creature's. It begins to twist suddenly and erotically, but it doesn't do anything to stop the creature from dragging her in with the leaves and the thorns. She can no longer scream as it enveloped around her neck. Quickly, Chelsea ran to the bag that Dylan dropped in the highway, grabbed a saw, and came back. She made her way through the treacherous green vines as she went to the root of the creature and began to saw. Dylan saw what she was doing and grabbed her by her hair and started to pull her out. Once he got her to the shoulders, it began. As her shoulders are released from the clutches of the Venus flytrap-like creature, Dylan pulls harder from her underarms. Meanwhile, Lindsay is in the back, sawing on the creature's roots, blood splattering all over her t-shirt and her face and her arms. Every time she saws, more blood comes from the creature, human-like blood. She was in awe as she tore through the gruesome. Chelsea was obviously done chopping as she stood up and came around to the front with the others, shirt covered in blood. You need a new t-shirt, and you need some new pants. Come on to the Rover, let's go. He tried to lighten the situation, but he could tell by the look on their face that his joke had obviously bombed bad. They climb in a Rover. Lindsay claims her composure. They're away from the monsters for now, the creatures, the plants, whatever they were. The rain starts to pour, creating a slick sheen on the asphalt as they speed down the highway. The tires desperately gripping on the wet road, the sound of the engine roars in their ears, drowning out the heavy rainfall. Inside the vehicle, the tension. Chelsea's hands tightly grip the steering wheel, her knuckles turning white as she expertly maneuvers through the treacherous conditions. The wheels against the wet surface, the rain pattering, the engine roaring. Other than that, the tension was high. Lindsay breaks the silence. So what'd you guys get from the grocery store? Chelsea was driving. They all agreed, even though Lindsay seemed okay. She had scars all over her body in the pattern. Puncture marks from the thorns. Bobby answered. A book bag full of canned goods, some instant lunches, and some Neapolitan ice cream bars. Dylan pretends not to notice Chelsea smiling in the rearview mirror. All of a sudden, Dylan has a flashback. He's walking into the grocery store where he first... Dylan has a flashback. He's walking into the grocery store when he first met Chelsea. They've already been flirting with each other for a month. And this time it felt different. Everything was somewhat okay with this wife, Lindsay. They haven't had sex in 2 months. But this felt fresh. He didn't want to judge himself or make an excuse to himself on why this was happening. She opens up the refrigerator door. You need some soy milk? Yeah. He slips into the back with her. Dylan has a flashback. He's walking into the grocery. She immediately pulls him between the plastic hippie barrier of the walk-in freezer. She starts kissing his neck. He grabs her around the waist. She puts his hand, moving it up her blouse. He was admiring the golden brown tan. The contrast to her bosom reminded him of shades complementing each other in the Grand Canyon. They made love on top of
the Neapolitan ice cream sandwiches.
Dylan comes back out of his reverie. He listens to the sound of the tires against the wet pavement, the roaring engine of the Rover. Out of nowhere, a gang of raiders, their Daihatsu SUVs painted with menacing symbols, swerve onto the highway. Intent on causing chaos, they ram the fleeting vehicle, attempting to run them off the road. The pursuing SUVs clove in, their drivers relentlessly in pursuit. Suddenly, one of the SUVs loses traction, skidding out of control. It veers off the road, rolling over multiple times before crashing into a lake. Chelsea remains unwavering as she skillfully dodges the wreckage and steers clear. The group of survivors holds their breath, relieved to have narrowly escaped another perilous encounter. Chelsea's extreme driving saved the group of this nasty encounter, but the respite was short-lived. The impact sent the vehicle careening dangerously close to the edge. The tires screech, desperately fighting against the force of the collision. Chelsea maintains her determination, skillfully counter-steering and evading the raiders' relentless assault. The rain intensifies, blurring the line between the tears of the sky and the sweat on the brows. With every passing second, the chaos becomes more treacherous. The raiders' SUV continues to harass our heroes. Their driving, revealing in chaos. But Chelsea's not one to back down. With conviction, she pushes the vehicle to its limits, maneuvering through the relentless barrage of attacks she defies. Skidding across the road, she defied all laws of physics, utilizing her instincts and experience to keep their fragile hope alive. The intense highway chase reaches its climax as chaos erupts on the rain-soaked road. SUVs collide with poles, spin out of control, and crash into trees. The scene resembles a nightmarish symphony of twisted metal and shattering glass. People are thrown from their vehicles, the air filled with cries of terror. Amidst the wreckage, a deer darts across the road, caught in the mayhem, only to be struck by one of the careening SUVs. The impact sends the animal tumbling through the air, a tragic casualty of the chaotic scene. As the dust settles, the carnage subsides. As the dust settles and the carnage subsides, the leader of the raiders steps forward, a hint of remorse in her eyes. She approaches the battered remains of Dylan, Chelsea, and Lindsay, Bobby's vehicle. Their expression a mix of fear and disbelief. Leader, her voice filled with remorse. She dashes her jet black bangs, revealing her light brown, beautiful oriental eyes. My apologies, we never meant for things to go this way. Your car is wrecked beyond repair. We'll make amends. We can offer you a ride for the cave. It's safe there. Please let us make this right. The survivors exchange glances. I know this seems weird, but one of my friends wanted to drive you off the road and steal your stuff, and I wanted to just talk to you. He won the argument. As the dust settled, they all exchanged glances again. Their trust in this unexpected offer wavering. The leader's words hung heavy in the air, uncertainty mingling with the stench of gasoline and the distant sound of birds. They weighed their options, their minds clouded with exhaustion and desperation. Lindsay steps forward, her voice firm yet cautious. Lindsay, squaring her shoulders. We appreciate your offer, but we need to think it over. We've been through a lot today, and trust is hard to come by these days. Give us a moment. She nods understandingly. The leader of the group, realizing the gravity of the situation, retreats slightly, giving survivors space to gather their thoughts. The rain continues to pour, an incessant drumbeat of the wreckage-laden highway. The survivors huddle together, their voices hushed as they debate. Uncertainty hangs in the air, their collective fate hanging in the balance. Thunder reverberates through the darkening sky, adding to the ominous tone to the unfolding events. The survivors, now joined by the leader, Cassie, watch as three burly men approach the lifeless body of the deer. With a mix of soul, determination, and efficiency, they carefully lift the animal, sandwiching it between them and secured in the back of their hump of the rover. A morbid task completed, a somber atmosphere lingers. Dylan, Chelsea, Lindsay, and Bob. Dylan, Chelsea, Lindsay, and Bobby climb into the remaining rover, finding themselves seated together despite the tension and weariness. Bobby attempts to lighten the mood with a feeble attempt at humor. A hint of a smile tugging at his lips, Chelsea rolls her eyes playfully, not missing a beat. As they engage in a brief moment, they all relax a little bit. Bobby, with a mischievous grin. Hey Chelsea, did you hear about the corn that told jokes? It was amazing. Chelsea let out a laugh. Her comrade Carlos rolls his eyes. Dylan notices. Cassie does too. I can't stand another corny joke. Carlos's mind drifts back to a pivotal moment. A mere 2 months after the meteor strike that altered the world forever. As a geologist, he had been granted the opportunity to venture into the once devastated area to examine the aftermath, seeking answers in the world. The scene unfolds with a sense of both awe and trepidation. A meteor fragment hurtles through Earth's atmosphere, crashing into the mouth of an active volcano. The impact triggers a cataclysmic eruption, unleashing a plume of soot and ash that swirls with the remnants of the meteorite suspended within the impact triggers a cataclysmic eruption, unleashing a plume of soot and ash that swirls with the remnants of the meteorite suspended within the thick cloud. Carlos and his geologists, donned in protective gear, gather amidst the volatile landscape. They traverse the ashen terrain, their eyes keenly scanning the surroundings of any signs of otherworldly, and their efforts are rewarded. Among the meteorites, they discover peculiar DNA spores, evidence of an alien presence imprinted within the heart of the volcano. But the revelations do not end there. They bear witness to a mesmerizing phenomenon. The winged aliens, resembling the ones that they would encounter later, shed their wings, relinquishing them to the earth. The impact triggers the discarded wings, sprouting tendrils give rise to a new breed of creatures, distinctly different from the airborne counterparts, yet sharing similar color palette. Carlos and his companions observe from the distance a mix of fascination and horror filling their hearts. Their gaze fixates on one particular vine-like creature, its pulsating form exhibiting engrossing beauty, and then, with a sickening realization, they witness the creature laying an egg. The vine-like tendrils writhe and convulse, blood pouring forth as the discarded wings, sprouting tendrils give rise to a new breed of creatures, distinctly different from the blood forth as the egg emerges. The egg is oblong shaped, covered in blood and pus, and clumps fall off of it into the grass below. A testament to the macabre cycle of life that unfolds before their eyes. But the tranquility is shattered as chaos ensues. One of Carl's friends falls victim. Carlos, driven by instinct and armed with nothing but a knife, lunges forward to protect his comrade. With a deft precision, he slices through the winged creatures, severing it from the body. The creature grabbed Carlos by the neck. Growl! He wrestles with it. The tail of the creature wraps around Carlos' leg and he falls to the ground. Carlos grabs his knife that he dropped and picked it back up and stabbed the creature in the leg. It shrills. Carlos grabs the creature around the waist, grabs around the back, and then cuts the other wing off. He slices the creature's wing, severing it from the body. The wounded creature emits a piercing shriek, fleeing in the shadows, leaving behind a fear of blood, convulsion, fear, and shrieking sounds. The flashback fades.